Hello, I'm Shannon Jones, owner and operator of Timeout at Shannon's, located in the West Loop of Chicago. Growing up, what was it like growing up on the west side of Chicago? Wow, it was different looking back today. I grew up in K-Town, on West End of Keeler, me, my brother, sister, mother, grandparents. My mother was pregnant with me at the age of 16. When she could no longer hide the pregnancy, my grandfather and my grandmother just stepped up being devout Christians and just said, okay, we're gonna help you raise this young man. So I never met my dad. My grandfather and my uncle served as my father. So growing up, we did everything as a family together, from church, every Saturday, get up, you do your chores, make the bed, take the trash out before I can get allowance, those type of things. We did dinner together, church, even every Sunday, it started before I was born, we would have dinner. The church would come over to the house for dinner. You know, the pastor, guests, and other people from the congregation. Then it just kind of trickled down to it grew to like Thanksgiving every Sunday in the house. So I would like to say I'm a product of the village. You know, my mother, my grandfather, and my neighbors. So if my mom and my grandfather went to work, if I was cutting up in the neighborhood, walking in someone's grass or whatever, my neighbors had the green light to correct me or tap my tail, and then I would get a whooping when I got home, when my parents got home. Today, it's just different. The village raised me, but today, you know, you don't even know your neighbor's name. You know, when I grew up in the neighborhood. Today, the neighbor's gone and you're stuck with the hood. I don't know if I would say I was the first entrepreneur in my family. I want to say maybe the second, because my uncle was a tailor. So when I saw him doing his thing, and the name of his company was called Sanaj, which is Jones backwards. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I kind of wanted to run with that. So he was doing his tailoring thing. I wasn't thinking about barbering so as much then. It was just about basketball and girls. But I noticed that when I went away to college, the University of Gustavus Adolphus, which is a private Lutheran school in Minnesota, that I spent a lot of time cutting. Now, when I went to Gustavus with the thoughts on becoming a commercial artist or cartoonist. But when I was in school, I found myself always cutting hair. So I never thought that I could make a living doing that. So when I came home after my first year, I told my mother, I think I kind of want to cut hair, but I'm not sure if I can do it. She said, well, I think you can. She said, I think you should go to school, maybe go to barber school and cosmetology school and learn the business on both ends. And I was like, yeah, right, like I can make a living standing up on my feet. So you fast forward some 30 some years later, I'm here in my shop. I would cut some of my guys. They were legal, they would work at law firms as clerks. And so I would cut them, but then I'm asking them, how come you don't bring any of your guys, your coworkers, to me to get a haircut? And he said, dude, but you're cutting in your basement. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm cutting you in my basement. You know, so those type of things kind of struck me, but I didn't know why they were striking me the way they were striking me. So when I looked at my uncle, I kind of flashed back to him. Was he feeling the same way in the basement doing dresses, suits? Was he feeling the same way, like he's not legit because he's in the basement? You know, is this something that all entrepreneurs go through? Those questions then didn't go through my mind because I was just on my journey, not knowing where it was leading me. I just know I love to cut. I wanted to cut. I wanted to do it on a large scale. I wanted to just have a shop with my name, Timeout at Shannon's, on the window, and that was it. I wasn't thinking that years later I would have been the first barber on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. I wasn't thinking traveling halfway around the world cutting this person, that person. So it's amazing kind of where your dream would take you. You know, and I think the problem with most people today is that the reason some people, and I think we all have dreams, but I think the reason most people don't really go any further, they haven't been taught to dream, and they don't know how important their dream is to their surroundings. You know, I never knew how important my dream was. I ended up working with my guy, AJ, or Arthur Johnson, known as AJ. AJ used to do nothing but models. So I guess my first taste of fame came with me assisting AJ. I met AJ when I graduated from Pivot Point Academy back in '87. And so I met him through a friend of mine named Carl Howard. And so when I went to AJ, I came to him and I was like, I heard you're opening your shop. He said, I'm gonna do a grand opening next week. And he said, do you have a clientele? Now, barber-wise, I had a clientele, but I didn't have a clientele female-wise. So he said that, you don't have a clientele? I said, no. And at that time, I didn't want to bring all of my guys from home, from the barbershop downtown. So I wanted to keep my guys separate, but I wanted to build a clientele. So what was happening, I worked with AJ maybe 10 years. And while working with AJ, I was learning a lot of do's and don'ts. So I was learning about the models, hanging out with models, learning about customer service, but we're working with him. I was noticing that it was a gap missing between, the service was different between the way men would be in service and the way women were. Most guys would come in, get a haircut, in and out. But when I got with AJ, I started noticing, I said, oh, maybe I should throw the shampooing in. Let's throw the coloring in. It was just a little different services I was learning to add to my ticket. And then at the same time, I'm learning how to deal with people, customer service. It's a big difference between the way we would have a communication and talking in the basement with my guys and people I was comfortable with. Then I'm coming downtown, meeting new people, and a whole nother world. So I had to kind of clean that up. AJ would always start every staff meeting with, it's been brought to my attention, someone's about to leave, and I just ask you to give me a 2-week notice. So if anyone ever wants to leave, give me a 2-week notice. He would always say it, but I knew that it was game because nobody in the shop talked about leaving. So I think that was more of a scare tactic or his way of being afraid of losing the staff. So now at this point, I meet a young lady in the shop, a client. We're talking, we hit it off, and she was in advertising. And so while we're talking, she would always ask me, do you eventually want to open your own shop? And I said, yes, eventually. Now in my mind, at the stage, I didn't want to tell her I don't know how to go about it. I told her I have a business proposal and I'm showing it to clients. But other than that, I really can't tell her I don't know how to go any further, other than I'm talking to my clients, telling them I want to shop. So what's happening now at this point, we're hitting it off, we're dating, everything is going well, and she's very organized. She said, you know what? I'm gonna sit down and help you write a schedule, or I should say do a layout as to how to open your shop up. I said, okay, cool. So she said, what's the first thing we have to do? I said, find a space. So she wrote down the space. So we came up with a list of things that needed to be done. And she created where it was done for a year. So every day I had to get something done. If it was call the real estate agent and ask about a space, that would be something day one. Day two would be talking about creating a logo. Day three would be just little things like that. And what was funny was that in following this process for the year, I got so many things done that I had no idea needed to be done. So one of my guys back in the days named Jeremy Lincoln used to play for the Bears. He was dating my girl Lisa Lincoln that he married. So me and Jeremy, we hit it off, and I would cut him a couple other guys that would come in town. So he said, you know what, man, Lisa told me you were trying to open a shop. I was like, yeah. He said, well, do you have a proposal? I said, yes, I do. I can bring it to the shop or meet you somewhere tomorrow because I left it at home. He said, cool. So we went out, had some drinks, went to this place back in the days called a China Club, had the proposal. We sitting there laughing, joking. He's reading the proposal. I think at the time, the proposal I was asking for $35,000 just to open up the shop. So Jeremy was like, dude, this is really no money. You know, he was from Toledo, small town. So he knew a lot about coming from a small town and people supporting and helping him. So Jeremy said, you know what, dude, I'm gonna give you the money. So now I found a space. Now, when I found the space, it was a guy doing audio video in the space. So he was subleasing, the unit up. Now I have to pay rent while they're putting my space together because I'm subleased, I'm splitting the rent with it. So I'm like, oh man, so I'm working at AJ's, and now I'm not telling him I got the space yet. I'm not telling him Jeremy gave me a check. I want to get my space together because I want to keep doing what I have, because I don't want a problem to happen where he's, you know, we arguing, bickering over something stupid because he's finding out that I'm about to leave. So I'm working. We set the grand opening, a soft opening up for a Sunday night. Okay, so now my grand opening go from maybe 150 people coming to the grand opening to now 300 people because word got out that I'm doing my grand opening. So you have barbers from all over Chicago trying to come crash, you know, look. Now when I opened up the first shop, Timeout of Shannon, it was a sports theme. Lockers, scoreboards, jerseys hanging, gym shoes, a whole sports motif. Things signed from all of my clients. It's it's beyond my wildest dream because my uncle at the time was a police lieutenant in Chicago. So it was so much traffic that, when I got to the grand opening, I didn't know that he had called police officers to clear the streets, direct traffic, and they had those big spotlights up, which we didn't order. So I get there, me and my girlfriend at the time, we make the entrance. Everybody is crowded. I'm seeing so many haters. I'm seeing so many family members, friends, and we get in there, and everybody's having a great time. We laugh and joke, and at my at the shop, that being a sports theme, the food, the way I had it set up, I had young ladies walking around like at the stadium, popcorn, hot dogs, that whole motif. It was great. So I get to the shop. I'm nervous, but I'm not nervous of doing what I'm doing. I'm nervous for the unknown. At AJ's shop, he always had someone to answer the phones, do the bills, do the taxes, things like that. So, this was all brand new to me. But I knew that I had to learn, and I knew I was ready for it. So customers coming in, I'm taking the cash, I'm doing this, doing that. Had my appointment system set up where people were making appointments on the internet. That was running smooth. The thing that became an adjustment was managing. And I had one of my sisters, she was a young lady that grew up with me, named Samantha. She needed a job. So I asked her to be my assistant. Her and my girl Teresa, they both were kind of working part-time jobs. So whenever one can fit in, the other one jumped in, which was a blessing because it kept me to the right side of the shop, which was the cutting, and the business took place on the left side. So they gave me that flexibility. So at the end of the day, when they left, they gave me the total, phone calls, things like that. One of the things I learned being the owner and having the shop was that you hear a lot of people say they want their own barbershop. People feel like since you can cut, you can have a shop, but they don't know the business side. They don't know how many cuts they do a day. They don't know how long they take. They don't know about inventory, how much shampoo, things like that. So I started dealing with a lot of things that they didn't know. Like one of the things they came to me with is like, what's booth rent? Can I pay booth rent? I was like, no, we're gonna do commission. Because what I learned working with AJ when we did commission was that when you do booth rent, you get booth rent mentality, meaning that if he charged me, let's say he charged me $150 as a barber a week. I wasn't obligated to come Tuesday, Wednesday to the shop. I would try to come in maybe Thursday, Friday, squeeze all the heads in just so I can pay my booth rent. Whereas with me, what I wanted to do was I wanted my business to run like a machine. So when you came in my shop Tuesday through Saturday, every chair should be humping. So if you do commission, I get a portion of what you make. And then it also helps you build your clientele because I don't want to ask you $150 or $125 at that time for booth rent and you didn't have a clientele. So I felt commission, as I was taught, would be a great way to start your business. I was contacted by Wall Street Journal. This young lady named Maureen Taffick, she was doing a story on gym shoe junkies. Scoop Jackson, which is like my brother, he would come in the shop all the time, and in one of my walls, I have the magazine called Slam. It's a basketball magazine. I have a wall dedicated to every issue of Slam. So she comes in the shop to see the wall. She's talking about gym shoes. She's more so talking about, the article is really about the influence that barbers have on their customers. So as she's sitting there writing, my clients are coming in. One guy comes in, my guy, Alan Wilkes, he comes in and he said, man, I met this young lady. I'm taking her out to dinner. What's a great place for a first date? So I give him a restaurant. Then the next person come in asking about just whatever, music, things like that. And at the time, Sony had a deal with me where they would just bring me CDs of an artist, someone getting ready to release an album. But what they would do would be maybe 2 or 3 months before the album would drop, they would give me CDs to give to the clients. So the clients would get a haircut plus a first CD. She's looking at this. So now the article goes from gym shoes to the influence on the barber. So now the issue comes out. Now I'm just happy. I'm being thankful that God has blessed me, because again, all I wanted was a shop with my name on the window. I'm not thinking size, I'm not thinking anything. I'm just being thankful, but that's how God works. So now the Wall Street Journal comes out. But prior to the article coming out, Maureen calls and says, Shannon, can you send me a picture I'm like, okay. So I asked one of my guys who's a photographer, can you just take a headshot, send it to him? So now I'm telling my family, I said, I think I'm gonna be in the Wall Street Journal. You know, like, wow, I'm thinking maybe the back page, last page or something. So the article comes out, I'm on the front page. The first barber on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. So now it's crazy because now my boy's thinking I'm all that, which I'm not. Business is doing well because people are now flocking, coming in. Who is this barber on the cover of the Wall Street Journal? Which now got me thinking global, but not really global like leaving the United States, but I'm thinking now, okay, if the shop continues to do well, now let's go to a new shop and the next. Now I'm getting people who, when I was asking for $1,000 back in the days from 4 or 5 of my guys to start the shop, no one wanted to. Now I'm getting people coming to me now offering me blank checks. You don't understand what comes with your business or your vision when you start a company. Because when you start in the journey, when you need help, you rarely find a lot of people. You're gonna have your family, you're gonna have your real friends, but when it comes down to you executing, I think the reason why it's so few entrepreneurs is that most people don't know how to start a business. They have an idea, but you don't know how to turn that idea into something tangible. When I started the shop, everybody who didn't have a company had advice for me. And the people that had their own business said, it's day to day, which was the best advice I had. I'm telling you, if you love what you do, stay true to it. You treat people the way you want to be treated. Don't give up, because there are going to be days you don't want to get out of bed, but your passion and your vision, that's what allows you to get out of bed. Every day when I get up, I know I get it with a purpose, and that's to touch people. I know what the effect my shop have on my clients, but I don't think most people understand the effect they have on other people. If it's a boutique, you selling gym shoes, people all want to be a part of something. So you should make everyone feel special. You should never turn your back on anyone. Everyone is VIP, because you never know who, like case in point, I had a client yesterday that was in my chair, regular conversation, talking. Turns out he's Dwayne Wade's cousin. Dwayne Wade just signed with the Bulls. Regular, I didn't want anything from him, and he kind of picked up on that by the way we were talking and flowing. Because I know if he say I'm Dwayne Wade's cousin, he know the reaction that's, the room. So you have to just keep it simple. You never know who knows who. Treat everyone the same. The way you start is the way you finish. If you don't know who you are, by 9 a.m., by 6 p.m., someone will let you know who you are. You have to. And I say that to say you have to be confident on who you are. You have to know who you are. Don't let anyone tear your dreams down. Don't let anyone tell you what you can't do. Because, like I said, I came from the basement off the west side of Chicago, and all I wanted was a shop. I had no idea I was going to be the first barber on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. I had no idea I'd be traveling the world cutting this person, that person. So, or working on my own product line, or working on this new shop. So, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I went to college for 1 year. My brother and sister, they graduated from college, and now they're trying to still figure life out. I knew after my first year in college wasn't for me, but it's very important because it taught me how to listen and to how to be open to anything and everyone. So in closing, that's what I would tell you. If you keep those key things in place, let God do the rest. Let God direct your movie, because every day is a different scene in your movie. Just follow the scene he wrote for you. Just follow the scene, because when you find yourself rewriting your scene, you're still in production. You're still in development, opposed to being in production. So let him direct your scene and just follow it.